I've talked about standing armies in the colonies already twice. One immediately after the French and Indian War, and then again when soldiers are stationed in Boston after the riots that occur as a result of the Townshend crisis. Uh, Frustrations are going to come up to a head in Boston in March of 1770. You have to understand that soldiers are not paid very well, and so they're needing second jobs. And what they do is they start working jobs in Boston. Well, that's going to make colonists mad and Bostonians mad because of the fact that they are taking away jobs from colonists, from regular Bostonians, and so you're going to see some frustrations there. Uh, well, on March 5th, 1770, there's going to be a lone sentry in front of a place called Faneuil Hall, and where he's going to be confronted by a very angry crowd. And you have to remember that us Texans, we don't really like winter. We think March, and we think almost springtime. But March can be a very cold month, particularly up north. And there's still snow on the ground. And so these mobs, they're going to be armed with pistols and whatnot, but they're also going to be armed with snowballs. And I'm not talking about snowballs that you pick up and you throw at somebody and you have a good laugh. I'm talking about snowballs with glass and rocks in them. And they start pelting this lone sentry who calls in reinforcements. And reinforcements arrive there, and it doesn't quell the situation. In fact, what we are going to see is that the colonists are going to taunt the soldiers. Fire, damn you, fire. And eventually something happens. We don't know exactly what. Something happens that makes one soldier discharge a weapon. Well, soldiers are trained that once they start hearing fire, particularly from their side, they need to figure out where it's going, where they're aiming at, and then respond in kind. And so one soldier fires, and then suddenly all of them fire onto a crowd. And this is what's known as the Boston Massacre. We call it the Boston Massacre mainly because of propaganda. It sounds better if you're in favor of the colonies. Now, 5 people are killed and 6 are wounded. I'm not going to be flippant about the loss of human life here. It's certainly a tragedy, but a massacre, I'm not really sure. But nonetheless, we have 5 people killed and 6 people wounded. And as a result, we have our debut of a man that we're going to see later on. His name was John Adams. And this is going to be one of 2 situations where he's going to put principle over his personal gain. The principle here is going to be the notion that everyone deserves a fair trial. Imagine if we had if Osama bin Laden was not killed, he was actually captured, brought to the United States, and stood for trial. Who would defend him? What kind of effect would a defense of Osama bin Laden have on the legal career of whoever defended him? You can say that's probably going to be a controversial case. Well, certainly not as controversial as a bin Laden. What colonist is going to defend soldiers that just killed 5 people? Well, John Adams is going to, because he believes that everybody is entitled to a competent defense. So John Adams, along with his law partner Josiah Quincy, they're both going to defend these soldiers. But nonetheless, Adams's defense of these soldiers is very effective. Out of them, 5 are acquitted and 2 are convicted of manslaughter. Manslaughter is a lesser charge than murder. It's almost like as if it's almost incidental. But nonetheless, the 2 of them are going to be convicted of manslaughter, and the convicted will basically not serve any jail time or anything like that. All they'll have is a little branding on the thumbs. But nonetheless, the Boston Massacre is going to be another milestone within along the road towards the American Revolution. It also provides a great propaganda piece. The image that I'm using for this lecture, for this video, is a wood carving done by a silversmith named Paul Revere. And if you notice, look at the picture. You notice calm and collected soldiers firing on an innocent crowd, and even there's a little dog there, I guess to make you feel make you feel sympathetic towards the rioters. And notice how there's no snow on the ground, and all these guys, all the colonists, they're not armed, they're just peacefully assembling, whereas you have these cool and calm, cold-blooded killers dressed up in red shooting into this crowd. This is one of the ways that that events can be used for propaganda purposes, and the fact that they're going to blow this out of proportion. Massacre, 5 people, really? What happened in Orlando and what happened in San Bernardino? That's going to be more of a massacre than 5 people killed. But again, I'm not trying to be flippant. It's more like a Boston tragedy, but it doesn't sound as good, does it? When you talk about promoting your own points of view. A massacre sounds a lot better. It makes you feel a lot more sympathetic towards one side.